Okay, so on notes 10-2, we're going to be dividing polynomials. Remember, a polynomial is the sum of monomials. So we're going to have to divide it. Now, instead of using long division, which is the one option to divide these polynomials, we're going to use, it's called synthetic division. So that's what we're going to be looking at on 10-2. Okay, so to use synthetic division, your first step is to set your denominator equal to 0. So I'm going to do x minus 2 equals 0. So x will equal 2. Okay, so whatever that number is when you set your denominator equal to 0, we're going to put it here. And then we're going to block it off. All of these numbers here are going to be your coefficients of your numerator. So I'm going to start, notice we have an x cubed. Look in front of it, that's a 1, so put a 1. After x cubed comes x squared. Look at that coefficient, that's a negative 5. After x squared comes x, so then we have a positive 4. And then your constant is negative 2. So you're including all of those coefficients and including that constant at the end. Okay, so leave some space below those coefficients and that constant and draw a line. Okay, the first coefficient we're always going to bring down below that line there. From here, we're going to multiply these numbers, so 2 times 1, and that answer is going to go underneath the next coefficient, which is a 2. From here, we're adding these numbers together. So negative 5 plus 2 is going to equal negative 3. So basically what we're doing right now is we're trying to find the coefficients of our answer. Alright, so we'll repeat that. We'll multiply the 2 times negative 3, that's negative 6. That answer will go here. 4 plus a negative 6 equals negative 2. And then continue on with the multiplication. That 2 times negative 2 is a negative 4, and that answer goes here. This last answer that you get, I want you to block off. This is going to be your remainder. So negative 2 plus a negative 4 is a negative 6. So this will be our remainder, because when you're dividing, sometimes you have something left over. Alright, so to the left of your remainder is going to be your constant. To the left of that will be the coefficient of your x. To the left of that will be your coefficient of x squared. Alright, so now we're going to write our answer. So these are our coefficients. So I'm going to have a 1x squared minus 3x, and then your constant minus 2. Now, if you remember back whenever you were using long division to divide only numbers with no variables, anytime you have a remainder, which we do, it's negative 6, we're going to put that out of our original denominator. So our original denominator is x minus 2. So when we divide those, we get x squared minus 3x minus 2, but we have a negative 6 left over out of your x minus 2. And you can put a plus there, or you can just put that minus in front. Okay, so lots of different steps. Okay, so you just have to keep practicing in order to get it down. So let's go over another one. So your first step is to set denominator equal to 0. So 3x minus 1 equals 0. And you're solving for x. So x equals 1/3. Alright, so that number, whatever you get, goes on the outside and block it off. Now we're writing our coefficients. we have an x cubed, the coefficient is 9. After x cubed is an x squared, and that's 15. Now, make sure that you're not missing a term. If you start with an x cubed, you should have an x squared, then you should have an x, then you should have a constant. So notice right here, after that x squared should be an x. So we're missing the x term. So we have to actually put a zero for the placeholder. So your placeholder for x. So you have to pay attention to that. That's the most common mistake once you get the hang of these, is forgetting that placeholder if something's missing. And then the last one is your constant, which is -2. So leave some space and then draw a horizontal line. Okay, so first step, we're going to bring down the 9. So that first coefficient always gets brought down. Then we're going to multiply these together. 1/3 times 9 over 1 would equal 3. So that answer is going to go here. From here, we're adding all these. 15 plus 3 is 18. Your times in 1/3 times 18. Basically, you're just dividing it by 3. So 18 divided by 3, you get 6. So that answer goes here. We're adding 0 and 6 to get 6. Then we multiply 1/3 times 6, which is the same thing as doing 6 divided by 3, and we get 2. So that answer goes here. -2 plus 2, we get 0. The last number that you end up with is your remainder. Don't forget that. To the left of that is your constant. To the left of that is your coefficient of x. To the left of that is your coefficient of x squared. Alright, so then we have 9x squared plus 18x plus 6. Okay, so notice here our remainder is 0, which means we should not have 0 out of 3x minus 1, because that would just be 0. So you don't need to write anything else for your remainder there, because there's not a remainder. Okay, so after that, you need to check. See if you can reduce it. So see if you can divide all of them by the same number. That's what you have to do whenever you're using synthetic division. So once you get your answer, if they're all divisible by the same number, you need to reduce it. So notice they all can be divided by 3. And that would give you 3x squared if we're dividing each one by 3. Plus 6x plus 2. So that would be my answer there. And we don't have to put that 3 in front. So you're just reducing all of those. So make sure that you're checking it. Now, if you end up with a remainder at the end, don't reduce that remainder. That remainder needs to stay what it is. Okay, so you're only looking at the terms that aren't your remainder. If you can reduce, you need to reduce them. Alright, let's look at 3. Doing the same thing, we're dividing these polynomials. So first step is to set your denominator equal to 0 and solve for x. So x equals 4. So that number goes on the outside. Then we're writing our coefficients. In front of the x to the 4th is a 1. After x to the 4th comes x cubed. That's a -2. After x cubed should come an x squared. Remember, you have to put a placeholder. So I'm going to have to put a 0 here for the x squared that I'm missing. After x squared is x, and that's a -31. And then after that is your constant, which is -4. Okay, so leave a little space. Bring down that first one, which is a 1. We're going to multiply 4 and 1 to get 4. That's going to go here. We are adding these. -2 plus 4, you're going to get 2. 4 times 2, we're going to get 8. 0 plus 8, we get 8. 4 times 8, we get 32. I'm going to stop writing those lines there. Negative 31 plus 32 will give you a 1. 4 times 1, you get 4. And we get 0 here. So block off that last one as your remainder. Don't forget that. To the left of that is your constant. To the left of that is x. To the left of that is x squared. To the left of that is x cubed. So now we can write our answer. 1x cubed plus 2x squared plus 8x plus 1. Notice there's not a remainder. Anytime you do not have a remainder, to check this, we could multiply, because anytime you're dividing, you can check it by taking your answer and multiplying it by your denominator. So if I multiply this by x minus 4, it should give me back that numerator at the top. So if you wanted to check your answer, if there's not a remainder, you can do that. Multiply your answer by your denominator. Just like if we're doing 12 divided by 3, we get 4. 4 times 3, we get 12. So you can check that. Notice all of them do not have the same thing in common, so we can't reduce it. Alright, last one. So to divide these, we're first setting our denominator equal to 0 and solving for x. So x equals 3. That number goes on the outside. And then we're writing our coefficients. So x to the 4th, we have a 2. X cubed, we have a negative 6. X squared needs to come next. That's a positive 1. X comes next, a negative 3. And then our constant's the end one, which is negative 3. Always bringing down the first number to get started. We're multiplying these, so that's going to give me a 6. It goes in the next space. Then we're adding. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0. 3 times 0, we get 0. 1 plus 0, we get 1. 3 times 1, we get 3. Negative 3 plus 3, we get 0. 3 times 0, we get 0, and we get negative 3 here. Remember, that is your remainder, the very last one. To the left of that will be your constant, which we won't have one because it's 0. To the left of that, we'll have an x. To the left of that, we'll have an x squared, and then x cubed. So that's going to be 2x cubed. It's 0x squared. We don't need to write that. If it's a 0, we don't write that. It's gone. So then we have a plus 1x. We don't have a constant, but we do have a remainder. Negative 3 out of your original, which is x minus 3. So there would be your answer. Okay, so this is synthetic division. It's the same thing. You would get the same answer if you were using long division.